This is How Beyond Numbers, where we learn maths the easy way. In this lesson, we are looking at the quadratic formula. It is one easy way of finding the root or solution of a quadratic equation. Without much ado, let's quickly look into it. One might ask, if there's method of factorization, why do we need the quadratic formula? And you have to note that it is not always that an expression can easily be factorized. So for expressions that cannot be factorized easily, we use the quadratic formula. Not only that, but then sometimes you realize that the coefficients, that is a, b, and c, are sometimes very large or awkward. And sometimes they might even involve fractions. All these are part of the reason why we can't always rely on the method of factorization. On the other hand, for the quadratic formula, which is sometimes known as the almighty formula, it works for all quadratic equations. If you're able to understand it, I'll show you that there is no quadratic formula, there's no quadratic equation you can't look for its roots. Before you be able to use this formula, you must always take note that your equation should be in the standard form. That is ax squared, then plus bx, and then plus c equals 0. Your e should never be equal to 0. And you know the a is always the coefficient of x squared, the b is always the coefficient of x, and c is your constant. With your equation written in this form, so this is the formula, and we read it as x equals, so you have your numerator and your denominator. So the numerator, you have negative b plus or minus and the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over what? 2a. A, b, and c are from the quadratic equation. That is, if you have a x squared plus b x plus c is equal to 0. So the a we have here is the one you substitute for this a, then this a. Then the b we have here is the one we also substitute for this b. And finally, the c we have here is what we use for this substitution here. The reason for the plus or minus is to make room for two possible solutions. You know, the degree of a quadratic equation is 2. Hence, the solution has two values. B squared minus 4ac is called the discriminant. The discriminant has so many uses. It determines whether or not our solution will be a real number or not. In subsequent lessons, we'll really talk about it and then look at how it affects our solution. So now that we know about the formula, let's take some examples and see how we can find the roots or the solution using the almighty or the quadratic formula. Now, our first example here says you have to solve x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0 using the formula. So we have x squared minus 5x then plus 6 equals 0. Now, this simply implies that our a is equal to, so you see there is 1 here, but then we know we don't write that. So our a equals 1. Then our b is equal to negative 5. Take note, the b is the coefficient of x. And as you can see, it is negative 5. Then our c will then be equal to 6. So now that we have our variable, we state the formula. So x equals negative b, then plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, then all over our 2a. And hence, we do our substitution. So x will then be equal to negative b. So negative, and then we know the value of b is what? Negative 5. So negative 5, then plus or minus the square root of b squared. So the b was -5, hence we put that here. So this is our b, then squared, minus 4 times a times c. So times our a, which is 1, and then times our c, which is also 6. Then all over 2a. The value of a was 1. With this, we now do our simplification. So we have -5 with a negative outside it. So that is negative times negative, which gives us positive. Hence, we have a +5 plus or minus the square root of -5 squared gives us 25. So -5 squared is simply -5 times -5. Then we have -4 times 1 times 6. That gives us a -24. Then we have all over 2 times 1. 2 times 1 gives us a 2. There is more for us to simplify. So simplifying further, we have our x being equal to, the 5 remains as it is, then plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 24 gives us 1, all over 2. We know what the square root of 1 is. That is 5 plus or minus the square root of 1 is 1. So all over 2. This is our solution, but then we want to write it in its right form. By so doing, since we know the degree of a quadratic is 2, we need 2 solutions. So we test, or we look for that of the positive and then that of the negative. That is, we take the positive sign, work it out, and also take the negative sign and also work it out. So that we have x is equal to 5, then plus 1 over 2. So we have x, 5 plus 1 gives us 6, so we have 6 over 2. And then this simply implies 6 over 2 gives us a 3. We now go for that of the negative. So we have x equals 5 minus 1 all over 2. We have 5 minus 1, which gives us a 4, so 4 over 2. Then we have our x being equal to 4 over 2 is 2. So this simply implies that our x is equal to what? 2 or 3. That is our solution using the quadratic formula. See how very simple it is. For this, you don't necessarily need to factorize this number or this. You just state your formula, make your substitutions, and then you simplify. Let's take this as our second example. For this time around, our a is not going to be 1, but then it's going to be a number. That is that, but then it's going to be 2. So we have to solve this using the formula. We have 2x squared plus 3x and then minus 2. Now it simply implies that our a is equal to 2, our b is equal to 3, and then our c is equal to -2. By now, you should know the formula, which says -b, then plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Hence, we need to substitute. To substitute, and we have x being equal to negative, then you have the value of b. So substituting, we have our negative, then the b, the value of b was 3. Hence, we have -3, then plus or minus the square root of b squared. So we have 3 squared, then minus your 4 times a, which is 2, and then times c, which is -2. Then all over your 2a. So 2 times the value of a is also 2. Hence, we need to simplify. So we have -3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared gives us a 9. So 9, and -4 times 2 gives us a -8. Negative 8 times negative 2 then gives us a positive 16 all over 2 times 2, which is 4. We need further simplification. So we have our x giving us a negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 6 gives us a 25, then all over 4. So simplifying further, we have x being equal to negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 25 is a 5. So over the 4. So we take the positive, work out our solution, and then also take the negative and also work out our solution. For the positive, we have x being equal to negative 3 plus 5 all over 4. Negative 3 plus 5 gives us a 2. So we have a 2 over 4, which can be simplified to give us 1 over 2. Then for the negative, we have x equals negative 3, then minus 5. So simplifying all over 4. Simplifying further, we have negative 3 minus 5, which gives us a negative 8. So negative 8 over 4 then gives us a negative 2. It simply implies that therefore our x is equal to 1 over 2, or x is equal to negative 2. That becomes the solution to your question. We are going to end this lesson here, but as usual, I'll leave you with some exercises so you try on your own. So here are 5 questions you can use to test your understanding. You have to solve strictly using the formula. Well, you can use the factorization to confirm your answers as well. But take note that the factorization doesn't work on all types of equations. Let's have beyond numbers where we learn maths the easy way. If this lesson was of help to you, you can choose to subscribe if you so do, so that anytime I release a subsequent video, you'll be notified as well. See you in our next session, and bye for now. Stay safe.